You did.
And I love listening to him, and I love what he has to say, and I love this Sanctuary Challenge. But I will admit, I sat there because we have not been in each other's presence for a very long time.
A very long time.
So I did sit there with this giant grin going, look at him. Look at it. Yeah.
Look at him there doing some talking.
Look at that guy.
Look at him there.
Listening. That's what he looks like when he listened to me. I remember that guy.
That's my listening faces.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes, bro, they, you know, you get like screen grabs, right, of you doing these things and you're listening, and it's like you look at yourself and you go, God, is that what I look like listening?
You grab your nose. You grab your nose. There's things. Yeah.
All of that.
And I was like, right.
That's what he's been up to.
How have you been? You look great. You're happy. You're healthy.
Yeah, I'm good. I've you know, obviously, it's been such a strange period, this, and odd, really odd. But I think the world gets much smaller in some way, you know, like, and also you kind of I mean, you and I, bro, we were made for quarantine. I mean, especially you, because I think about you a lot with this, because I'm like, if there's anybody who was literally has spent 20 years designed for quarantine, I feel it's JR. I feel like there is not a man that I would say that there are maybe 2 or 3 things that would like annoy you about quarantine. Everything else, you're like, brilliant. Everybody, stay where you are. I've got this.
Listen, I appreciate you saying that, but I absolutely, you know, as you know, and I think you're spot on. There's definitely those things. I don't avoid them. If anything, I've just sat more firmly in the things that do make me kind of go like, well, this actually isn't fun. Yeah. This I would like to end. Yeah. But it really is, and again, tied into what Ryan is doing with Sanctuary Challenge. I think everything, and I heard you talk about some of the things that, you know, you're practicing, what you're sort of leaning into as well. They're all just tools that are basically all of it. Everything that he has that's a part of the Sanctuary Challenge, and everything else that we're sort of reading and learning and talking about and sharing. I did this today. I walked out and sat under a tree, like the simplest things, but everything is just about quieting that fucking chatter in our brain. And as comfortable as I am, as you know, in this kind of world of being okay, you know, it's the difference between alone and loneliness, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But still, I have to have tools that quiet the brain and quiet the chatter and quiet that mind that just wants to kind of run naked through the streets and just be like, oh, but what about this? And, you know, but all of these things are just helping to quiet that down and make us kind of, you know, see things without all of the fucking shit that's attached to it. You know what I mean? All the stuff that's attached to it.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's like, actually, you know, although everything is slowing down in lots of ways, like the world, the kind of your day-to-day life, like you say, what that only goes to reveal is how much crazy the distraction was of those things, and also that it doesn't slow down, like you say, the chatter or your internal voice at all. You know, that is always running at that speed. And I feel like what I like about any of this stuff is that if you can ground yourself in this in that mind, then you just make you make better decisions about your own welfare, and you know, I've noticed that.
Let me ask you this, and we will grab Ryan, because you and I, you know, could talk for 72 hours straight. That mind chatter for you, that stuff that comes up, where is that the stuff that comes up for you, where is it primarily based from? Where does it come from? Is it stuff from the, you know, in the time wise? Is it stuff from the past? Is it stuff in the future? Where would you say that chatter that comes up for you is rooted in time wise?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's an interesting question, because I think like a lot of it is based on a operating system that I had when I was maybe 11, you know, like the
Oh, wow.
operating system of like, of I've got to, you know, the fear is that things are not sorted out for you. There's a degree of like fear that is, I think Ryan talked about this in our thing, right? We take the fear that we had as a baby, which is if we don't cry, we don't get any of the we don't get any of the survival mechanism that allows us to be taken care of. And so I think for me, like it feels like an old operating system, but it's very much based, that old operating system is based in dealing with the future, right? So I you know, I going, well, I haven't got a job, so it's I'm never gonna have one, or I'm never gonna like, or I'm never gonna be able to have this, or you know. And so it feels both like it's an old operating system that is about the future. And so, you know, I don't know if you're, if where does that like, does that feel like something that you have as well, the kind of the chatter coming from before?
Yes, 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 yes. This ties into what Ryan and I will chat further about, and what I think the Sanctuary Challenge is all about.
Yeah.
What I do notice, and especially, and I've always sort of known it, but again, this past year, and it has, my choice has been to sort of just kind of sit and
Yeah.
look at things a little clearer.
Yeah.
And so this idea, and I think all of his 5 practices, everything is about being present. Because what I absolutely notice is all of that stuff, everything that you're saying, is either coming from the past, which is whatever we learned as a child, whatever we
Yeah.
didn't get, whatever that sort of those experiences were, or it's the future,
Right.
which is the stuff that I don't have right now,
Right.
and yet
Right.
I'm worried about it and I'm concerned.
Right.
And really, both of those places, the past and the future,
Yeah.
don't exist any longer.
They're not real.
They literally don't exist. So we're
Yeah.
choosing to kind of go like, bring up the stuff that I remember when I was, fucking young. I remember when this happened. I remember when this happened. I'm still dealing with that. But it's shit that isn't actually happening in this moment. And the stuff about the future, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll figure this out when I get this. When this happens, I'll be alive. It's stuff that actually doesn't exist either. So in this moment, we're choosing to be in this kind of weird place of like anxiety and angst and depression and sadness, when really, and again, what I think what the Sanctuary Challenge is, and so many other things that are out there, are just about being present right now and saying, right now, this moment, I could not be happier than I'm staring at, Bro's face, and even then allowing that, because it's not to say to ignore the past or the future, because the joy that comes up from me talking to you is what we've been through, is the running lines together, and you helping me freaking, just so that is still, this present moment is still made up of the history that we have together, but it's still being more present, which I think is what all of his what his 5 challenges are doing, are just helping people become
Absolutely.
present.
Well, Bro, I'm gonna let you guys talk on that, but I just I'm super excited to watch you guys talk, because I think it's a great thing. And I know for both JR and I, we are like, we could chat about this for hours and hours and hours, and we've gone on our own journey with this stuff. So it's really cool to watch you guys connect and do this. So I'm going to be watching. I love you, bro.
I love you too. Watch me listen.
I'll be watching.
I'll be doing this and this, a lot of listening activity.
Like that.
No,
All right.
listen. Love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, bye. All right, now let's find Ryan. Guys, that was a friend of mine, Daniel Sharman. I don't know if you are familiar with him. He's a cheeky cheeky little bugger. And I love him. Right. Let me try and find. All right, I'm going to wait for him to sort of request. Guys, how is everybody doing? I miss conventions. I miss seeing y'all. I miss face to face and hearing everybody's laughs in person, you know, and hearing what everybody's been up to, and I look forward to those moments again. All right? Good, thanks. Awesome. Hachi Ewan, I'm glad you're well. Little Isaac, I know, right? Little Isaac. I see Brazil flags. I gotta get up to Brazil, I really do. I'm well, thank you. Someone just asked. Diaz Aldwin. I'm well, thank you, really. Ryan, I've been doing a rewatch of Stargate. Yes. That was fun. Do you sing, Danazobi? I love to sing. I love to sing. My mother sang. My mother had an absolutely incredible voice, and I do not have anything near her voice. What about, you guys in finding practices of your own? I hope that a bunch of you have been following the Sanctuary Challenge. I hope that you've been joining him and, all of us on sort of attempting to deal with not just the current state of things, but it, bleeds into our everyday, even when we're not in a pandemic. Have you guys, I hope that y'all have been finding things to put in your sort of, toolbox and creating practices. Have you? Our lot day 4, all right, amazing. I'm assuming that's referencing. Have you all been doing the Sanctuary Challenge? France, Camille, oh my God, did you just drop your toast? What happened? Ryan, where are you, my friend? Oops, I don't know what that was. Okay, I'm gonna try and, because I realize as I ask you questions, the answers go by so quickly. Hello, I'm Turkish and sending love. Thank you, my friend. What is that? Are you talking about the Sanctuary Challenge? Go to sanctuary.challenge.com, but Ryan's going to tell you more about it when I get him on here. Let me try this. How do you look specifically for somebody? Oh, wait, I just saw it. All right, I think I figured this out. Sorry, guys. There we go. Good Lord, Ryan's just like, oh, please, JR, figure this out. Daniel's just laughing. If Bobo was on here, he'd probably be doing spit takes. Ryan, were you just sitting there patiently going, oh, good Lord?
Literally, I was just like, it'll happen eventually.
He's just...
At some point, this thing's gonna work.
I realized that you can search, and I didn't realize that. So I was looking for you, and then I realized when you go to the person and you find, you can actually search, and then I went, and then you came up.
I didn't know you could do that, so you're teaching me right now, too.
Kids.
By the way, I want to... Wait, let me start by saying, I don't know if you saw my comments while you and Sharman were talking, but I was literally like, don't bring me on. Just you guys keep having this conversation. This is amazing. Don't bring me on. Just you two keep talking.
No, if Robo and I stay talking for too long, it's like we
fireworks.
We'll implode. It'll be like a something. It's been so long. We have to ease ourselves back in. It's literally Ryan. It's been years since he and I have been in this, together in the same room. He's been away working. I've been away working, It's been a hot freaking second for
How
sure.
did that happen? He just requested and you came on. How did that even
He
happen?
texted me right before and he said, I'll see you there. And because I had texted him and said, by the way, I watched your guys' live and it was great.
Mm.
He texted this morning and said, I'll be there. And I said, should we go on? Because I thought you'd be a few minutes late. I know you had a coaching right up to 9 a.m.
Oh, it's
And yes.
perfect.
So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so happy to see that when I finally finished my call and jumped on and hi.
Why can't we do three ways?
We should be able to, and I wish we could. And once
Instagram,
Instagram figures that out, we'll have to do that.
right?
Yeah,
Never
we'll
say
have to
never
do
for a
that.
three-way.
Yeah,
How are you, sir?
I don't mind a three-way with all y'all, handsome man. I am. I'm good. I'm good. I have a really intense day today,
Okay.
and just like one of those days with like every hour there's something. And in my line of work as a coach, every hour I'm in like intense conversations
Yeah.
with people going through life's hardest things often.
Yeah.
So I really was like bracing myself for today and like really trying to prepare for it all and like acknowledging what I'm going to need at the end of the day, acknowledging what I'm going to need to like for my lunchtime, like
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging what I was going to need for the morning. And now I'm here and I'm showing up and I'm trying to like just do my best. Um, I haven't been great, to be honest.
Yeah.
I,
I
I
got you.
haven't been, I haven't been great. I, I've been fine. I've been, healthy, but just like overwhelmed and stressed and my inner brat's been coming out a lot.
Uh, where is the so what do so where does your do you immediately identify where the stress comes up for you when that or where that brat or why that brat is
Oh
popping up or
yeah.
what brat is saying?
Yeah, I go through a process called RAIN that I talk a lot
Yes.
about and you and I have talked about a lot. And it every time when that brat's like coming out or my mind or I was listening to you and Daniel talk about kind of when you were talking about like the way like we think in the past or in the future
Hmm.
and that we're kind of choosing that. The
Yeah.
one difference that I think is that we're actually not choosing that, that
Ah.
it's kind of like it's this
Mm.
response that happens from our trauma, from our early trauma. That is this that I actually learned recently that neurologically the brain can't actually tell the difference between what's happening in the present and a memory. That a
Oh
memory,
yes.
it's as if it's happening right now. So in the moment that I'm triggered about whatever, it and I have this big explosive reaction, it actually has more to do with the pain I experienced in my early childhood than it even has to do with whatever. And
The
for me, the last thing I'll say is for me, it always comes down to fear. It's
Mhm.
like fear that I'm not safe, fear that I'm not loved, fear that that people will go away.
Hmm. The brain can't distinguish between a memory. It sees it as an experience. Right. Um, and the 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 memories, the uh, that chatter, as Daniel and I referred to it, as our eyes, that's coming from the past or the future. You were saying one step further that is rooted in our trauma, right? And before we go on, do you have an appointment at 10?
I do.
Okay, so we'll make sure. Um, maybe quarter to 10, so you can kind of like come off of this and be prepared for
Sure,
that. All right.
sure. We'll see
Um,
how we're feeling.
so yes. So then you're saying something happens in the present that triggers that, which is something we learned, which is that past trauma. And I think that
And it's not just something we learned, it's also something we felt
right,
but couldn't process because we didn't have leadership around us that taught us that we
right,
were sick, right? That held that kind of space for us to feel our feelings, which is kind of what Daniel mentioned before when you two were talking, right? It's like these early moments in our life, early childhood when we felt three basic emotions essentially. Everything in terms of the quote negative emotions, everything's a gradation of fear, sadness, and anger,
yes,
and we felt them, but we didn't process them. We didn't have space to actually move them through our bodies. And so they get stuck in our bodies. And we do that over and over and over and over again. And now here we are adults, and we have these triggers that are pushing into all that stuff that's stuck in our bodies. And so when you were talking before about the Sanctuary Challenge and about how this notion that every practice is actually about slowing down and getting present, what we're really slowing down and getting present to is what is deeply unhealed within us, so that we can bring it up to bring it out.
Would you, so fear, sadness, and anger, would love not be in there as well? That's why we're trying to, because we all at some point have experienced moments, some less than others, which is, you know, and some more, but we all have experienced that love. I think that's why we all know we're trying to figure something and get to this other thing. So love is there as well, correct?
Yeah, I just said the 3 negative emotions.
Gotcha.
Yes, so yes, joy is there, love is there.
Yes. Yeah, the 3 negative. I got you. Yes. And this word trauma, you know, I've been thinking about that. We use it, we throw it around, PTSD, you know, post-traumatic syndrome disorder, which I think is always
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, which I think is, in my mind, has always been associated with war and veterans. But break down that trauma for you. Break down that word for you know, some people out there that might not sort of necessarily, you know what I mean? All that is encompassing in that word.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We think of, you're getting lots of marriage proposals in here, I want you to know, in the comments. Lots of people are asking.
I'm so over being single, so I need to go back and look at these.
Hello to everyone that is proposing to JR. I'm really great at officiating weddings.
This is very true.
I have officiated a handful, so I'm happy to officiate for the 2 of you.
I have to still get back to Daniel's, because he asked ages ago and I still haven't answered. So
his proposal.
Okay, break down the
You're
word.
Literally, Teen Wolf and every show that y'all have ever been on, fans would freak out. That would be the wedding of a century.
We'll do a spinoff. Break down the word
trauma.
Yes.
Okay, so you're right in that we think of trauma as these what typically are called big T or capital T traumas. Like I experience my in military, in war, I experience an explosion, I experience death all around me. That's a big T trauma. Other big T traumas are any form of abuse. So sexual abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse. Did I mention sexual, physical abuse? Big T traumas are also divorce of a parent to a young child, a mentally unwell parent. So maybe a narcissistic parent, or a parent with some kind of an untreated psychological disorder. Those are like kind of the big T traumas. Now, and then obviously when you go into kind of survival, right? Like not having enough food to eat, not having your basic needs met. These are the big T traumas, but they're not the only traumas. There's the kind of what we would call little T traumas, but they're just as important to look at, because you ever heard that phrase, death by 1,000 cuts?
Yes, of course.
Right. So if anyone's not familiar with that idea, in not that long ago, there were really extreme forms of torture. And one of them was literally death by 1,000 cuts, right? Instead of just going to the guillotine, it was little itty bitty cuts that would lead to this tremendous amount of pain where somebody would bleed out over time. And I'm sorry to go into such a descriptive explanation, but it's important that we understand that that's what our little T traumas are. It's just like all these little cuts that we bleed over time, and we develop into these adults who are bleeding, but we don't know why. And we think it's because of what he said, or we didn't get the job, or it's the breakup, or it's the divorce, or it's the bankruptcy, or it's the health condition. But those are more symptoms. And so we want to get to root cause. So trauma, the truest definition of trauma that I have heard, is any moment in our life when we weren't being nurtured, we experienced trauma. Any moment in our life when we weren't being nurtured, we experienced trauma. If you want to speak about this from a spiritual lens, which I love comparing, bringing those two worlds together, any moment in life when another human being was treating us in a way that is not how the divine would treat us.
Right.
The divine is always loving. The divine is always supporting. The divine is always life affirming and giving and holding space, right? You could commit an evil act and life itself will still love you, will still let you breathe and digest food and walk and move. Life is always loving us, even if we sin or we make mistakes, right? And so life is always loving us. God, the universe, the creator, whatever you want to call it, is nature, is always loving us. In the moments when another human being is treating us in any way other than with that unconditional love, that's trauma.
Right. Oof.
That's trauma, because those are the moments that I'm learning I'm not enough. And to the mind of a young child, right? Which is a young child comes in with a blank slate and just absorbs all of this information, all of this psychology. Yeah. And so to the mind of a young child, you know, I think you and I talked about in our first live that we're always looking at the adults around us who are there to feed us, to keep us safe so that we can survive. And if I learn that I'm not fully unconditionally nurtured by them, I'm learning that I'm not safe, that I'm not enough. There must be something wrong with me, that when I cry, they go away, that when I cry, they get irritated, that when I'm upset, they get stressed. Ooh, there's something wrong with me. And then we move through life as adults believing there's something wrong with me. And that comes from our trauma.
I'm going to go back, I think, and then, yes, that you had mentioned earlier. First of all, words count. Words are important. Phrases, words, they all are very meaningful. Amanda Gorman exemplified that perfectly at Inauguration Day with her poem. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. And even more so, go listen to, you know, an interview with her and Anderson Cooper, because she speaks about that, the importance of words. So I feel like, you know, today this conversation with you and I is us understanding what we know of that word trauma, but almost taking away some of the negativity around that world and acknowledging that it's okay to it's okay to recognize the trauma that we all carry, and that it can be from as you refer to it, a small T or a big T, but it being okay with accepting the small trauma that sits within our body. To think that that isn't the case with anybody is just ludicrous. To be a human being is to have experience, or you will experience a form of trauma at some point. It's just, we're not, the Dalai Lama has experienced trauma, the most elevated enlightened beings. So that is not it's not a red flag, or it's not a thing that I think to sort of be worried or concerned, or even to hold as a badge, or, you know. So I think it's important, you saying that trauma is it's a scale. There is a, you know, that sits underneath that word.
And it's part of being human.
Part of being human.
It's just a part of being human.
Accepted. And back to when you're talking about being young and recognizing everything that you've sort of been saying up to this point, the things that trigger us in a day, or the things that I will often forget. You know, I will look at the problems or the issues or the trauma, the experiences, whatever it is that I am dealing with at this age, and will continue to my entire life. But I think it's important, and we sometimes forget, that our parents and their parents and their parents and their parents, there's a reason why we go back to the greatest philosophers of mankind, because they were all also discussing the idea of being human. They were all also trying to break down shit that was happening. Freud, everybody. So there's something, I think, of great value to recognize that the things that we are walking and carrying with, and what the whole Sanctuary Challenge is about, dealing with these things and working through these things, is what your practice is addressing.
Hey, JR, 1 second. Hey, Mama, 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 come here.
She heard my voice. She got excited.
Come here. I think somebody's dropping off a package. Come here. Okay, go ahead. I just don't want the sound to be interrupted when she's barking.
Mama. That stuff that we are looking at and dealing with, I think, and it's what you were saying, we learn from our parents, because they were also a version of it, trying to figure that out. They were trying to deal with what their parents and their parents. And I think the importance of that is sort of when you practice these, when you do the 5 exercises of the Sanctuary Challenge, or whatever your practice may be, part of that, I think, is recognizing this isn't necessarily my unique thing that I'm trying to deal with. I learned it. It was taught. It's theirs. Who's theirs? Who's there? It just goes on and on and on, which is what we're all saying here about this pandemic. We are globally. I think this has always been the way. We just now have a pandemic to go like, okay, so you guys haven't noticed, but we're all going through this together. Now a pandemic is making everybody go, oh shit, we're all struggling at the same time with this thing. Well, we've always been all struggling and dealing at the same time. Sanctuary Challenge, how has it been going? I know that one of my friends for sure is doing it, and she's been texting, and she absolutely loves it, Laura Interval, and she's right in there. She's in New Zealand. How's it been going? Bring us to speed.
Yeah. Well, firstly, what you're talking about, there's a term for it, which is intergenerational trauma. And it's the notion that trauma is passed down from generation to generation. We also know that intergenerational trauma is actually, it's not just passed down a big way. The main way it's passed down is mom, dad experienced trauma. They hadn't healed it, which informs their actions. Their actions then impact me. Then I impact my children. There was also a really interesting study that was done that developed a field called epigenetics.
Oh, yes.
And so this was a study that was done on mice, which I don't love that, but that looked at that essentially. So they had a generation, which was the grandparent generation of mice, and they put an area in the mouse cage that had like an electric shock. And when they would go to that area, they would get shocked and they didn't like it and they'd go away. And they learned this pattern of, ooh, when I go over there, there's a traumatic experience. And so I avoid it. Okay. Now, then they took the electroshock things out of the cage. Those rats had children. Okay. Those rats, the initial generation died. The children had children. So now the grandchildren are alive. There have been no electric shock pads in the cage in their parents' generation or in their generation. When the grandchildren were born, they would avoid the area where that shock used to be, which blew away the minds of these biologists to go, whoa, that means that trauma is somehow passed down in the genome, in the genes.
Right.
And so I think of myself as like, and we all like humanity, as much as it feels right now like shit is bad, humanity is absolutely progressively getting better. We are becoming more awake, more enlightened, more loving, more compassionate, more communicative. Bit by bit by bit, right? The arc toward justice is long, but it happens. It's happening. And we are all products of the generations that have come before us. It's literally in our bones. It's in our blood. And so we're not just healing just the trauma of our childhood, but we're also healing the trauma of the generations that come before us, right? So when there's this conversation about reparations for Black and Indigenous people, right? This conversation has so much to do with the trauma of slavery, for example,
Yes.
lives in the body of Black people today. And there cannot be a healing if we today don't say, you are impacted by this. The whole world is impacted by this. And we have a responsibility,
Yes.
right, to do something about it.
Yes. Yes.
For
Yes.
example, so the sanctuary challenge.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
That's huge, everything you just said. I hope people go back and break that down and listen to it. But yes, couldn't agree more. Sanctuary Challenge, how has it been going?
it's going great.
Yeah.
It's going great. Thank you to you. Thank you to Daniel Sharman. Thank you to Emmanuel Shrieky. Thank you to our community of friends who have shown up for me and shown up for the challenge. Like, I'm so unbelievably grateful because just the fact that you're willing to spend this time and to have these conversations with the people who love and respect and admire you and your work, it just gives me the opportunity to take this thing that I feel like I'm on this planet to do this. Like, this
Yeah.
is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And you all are helping me so much to get this into the hands, the hearts, the minds of your people. So, the Sanctuary Challenge, firstly, for anyone interested, or if you have to go, you can find out a lot about the Sanctuary Challenge by clicking my little thing up right above JR's head. You could click the Sanctuary Challenge and come follow us. There's lots of really beautiful videos and posts just about healing and about the process of healing. We really like break things down, and there's good stuff on the Instagram. You can also come visit this if you want to pin this, JR. You know how to pin a comment?
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, so here it goes. I'm going to put the comment in. Do you see where I just wrote the sanctuarychallenge.com?
Nope. In my comments?
Yeah, go all the way to the bottom of the comments.
Good Lord. Oh, there we go. Yep, I see it.
Okay, hold your finger on it.
It ran away. It ran
Okay,
away.
I could do it again.
No, hang on.
If you hold your finger on it, and then it'll say pin comment, and then you can just pin it.
I'm holding it on it. It's highlighting, but it's not saying pin.
I think you have to hold it on it for a second longer, but don't worry about it. It's the
All right.
sanctuarychallenge.com.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay, bye. It's a nice opportunity to see JR's home. Very pretty. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but we launched the Sanctuary Challenge on January 1st. This is a response to the trauma and the pain of living through a pandemic. All of our anxiety was just on the rise. I know you listening at home felt it and feel it. And the problem is that we never learn tools to care for ourselves. And you and I are so often waiting for somebody else to love us, somebody else to care for us so that we know that we're cared for, somebody else to support us so that we know that we're supported. We're waiting for life to give us an opportunity so that we can feel like we're enough, right? And the problem with that is that we also need to learn that we can love and care for and support ourselves, that we are in a relationship with ourselves. Every time you talk about yourself, every time you think, you're in a relationship with yourself, and that we can learn the most freeing, powerful thing of all, which is that I can care for myself. And that's what I believe courage is. Courage is, as I'm building my life, as I'm building my career, as I'm building my relationships, as I'm taking forward motion in my life, I'm gonna face challenges. I'm gonna face things that I bump up against. And courage is, I know how to care for myself when I do. I know how to care for myself. I know how to support myself. And so, as I was saying, JR, the Sanctuary Challenge is learning how to care for yourself in a way that you probably never learned before. Not your fault. It's just no one taught us. And so we're learning how to care for ourselves through committing to 5 daily self-care practices. And with the Sanctuary Challenge, by the way, it's free. We're not selling you jack.
Yeah.
It's free. It's accessible to everyone as long as you can speak English right now. Eventually, we'll diversify with more languages. Give us a minute, one step at a time. But 5 daily self-care practices. So we have a guided morning meditation for you. That's really beautiful.
Mhm.
30 minutes of exercise, healthy eating and water drinking, a ritual we call goddess time, which is at the end of your workday to give the body and the mind an opportunity to de-stress by jumping in a bathtub or laying down and putting your feet up a wall. And then the fifth commitment is getting 8 hours of sleep. And this is a gradual commitment, right? So it's a 60-day commitment is what we're recommending. But it's going to take time for you
Mm.
to learn how to care for yourself
Make it a
after a
habit.
lifetime. Yeah. After a lifetime of not caring for ourselves, it's going to take time to learn how to care for ourselves, right?
After a
So
lifetime of not, yeah, I hear that.
so that's it. That's the Sanctuary Challenge. It's totally free. We
And you
also
can
send
join
you,
up at any time, right?
you can join today, you can join tomorrow, you can join anytime. And whenever you sign up, you'll get into a queue to start getting emails every 3 days that are supporting you, going deeper into learning about meditation, learning about healthy eating. We have info coming from a holistic nutritionist and a trainer giving you a free workout.
Oh, amazing.
And then a sound healer friend of mine created a 40-minute sound healing that you'll get emailed that you can listen to during your bath
Amazing.
time and so we're just trying to hit people with as many tools to support them through their journey. And
And when,
then
sorry, go ahead.
the last piece that I'll share is we want to make sure that people are doing this in community. We are living in a very isolating time, and community could be a really good resource for accountability and also for vulnerability so that we don't feel so alone and isolated in our challenge and our pain. Um, one of the things that we do is we ask when people sign up to invite your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community. And there's a link on the website that says invite my crew. And then you can
Amazing.
send them email or you can just text them, hey, go visit thesanctuarychallenge.com, sign up. I want you I want you to join my accountability crew. The idea is that once you have your crew together, you create a WhatsApp chain or a text message chain. And every day you jump in and you express, hey, today I am committed to my morning meditation, my 5 commitments.
Mm.
And that just helps the community stay together, continuing to commit, because we all know how easy it is to commit to something and then fall off,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other piece is if you don't have people in your world that you feel like would want to do something like this with you, there's an option to select find a crew. And we've
Mm.
had thousands of people select this option. And we're connecting 6 people at a time. And I got to tell you, JR, like, I'm getting these DMs from people and comments from people. I got 2 within a matter of minutes from different people in different accountability groups that essentially said, I want to thank you for the challenge. I just, this morning, my accountability crew, we had a conversation where each one of us shared about a traumatic experience in our childhood.
Mm.
And I felt so loved and so validated. And it's the first time I've ever talked to anyone about this. And last week, I didn't even know these people existed. I
Wow.
just met these people, right? So there's these communities of people from all over the world that are connecting to heal.
That's great.
And that to me is like
That's huge.
magic.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, of course, it must feel like magic, but it is actually the reality, and we just don't want to admit it. But it would we'd all be doing ourselves a great service to say, regardless of where we are in the world, and regardless of how different our circumstances might look, or our appearances, or any of that, it's the same. We all going through it. Um, it doesn't matter when they start. This is just going to keep going. It's not like this ends at 60 days. This is just an ongoing, this is the Sanctuary Challenge. You join up whenever you want. You stick to 60 days. And I want something on that when you were mentioning that about the 60 days to create a habit, you know, and we can talk about this another time, Rye, but, you know, I notice that part of that 60 days to create a habit, to break old habits, to start new habits, you know, sometimes a big part of who I think I am has been trying to deal with my shit. And then that becomes the habit. So you actually resist figuring shit out. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I'll resist this thing. I'll resist basically the Sanctuary Challenge. Not knowing that I'm resisting it because I don't want to heal, but this is who I am. This is what happened to me.
It's like suffering becomes your identity.
Exactly. I think the Maharisha says that, you know, it is part of the searching for enlightenment, or the searching for healing becomes your identity. And so you kind of are saying, well, I'll never find it, but I will constantly be struggling and trying to deal with it. And it's like, no, that's not quite right. There's another way to see it. So yes, I hope everybody hears that 60 days to create a habit. You know, so commit to it. It's not a big deal. We commit to going to the gym every day for 5 days a week for 1 hour, and we have no problem with that. You know, we can, yeah, anyhow.
And you're not going to be perfect at committing at it, right?
No, and
it's going to take time. You're going to, quote, fail. That's a lot of what we're trying to help people with, is how do you talk to yourself when you fail? Right. Do you beat yourself up? Do you criticize? I know I do that, right? So I'm trying to learn in my life how to be softer, how to be kinder, how to speak to myself in a more loving, compassionate way, how to say to myself, of course you missed your meditation today, my love. Of course you did. There's so much there that you don't want to sit with. Your head is going a million miles a minute. Like, that's your reality. So be soft with yourself, be kind with yourself, right? So I'm trying, and I know this is a big goal, but I'm trying to re-educate. In the process of re-educating myself, I'm trying to re-educate as many people as possible how to be kind to themselves. And I think, you know, I think so many of us are waiting to live in a world that is healed, yet we are so unhealed. Yes. And the world, all the world is a product of all the people living in it. And so we have to start with ourselves.
Listen, I'm going to let you go, because that is exactly, what time is it? Yes, I'm going to let you go because I know this is your mission. I know you feel this is why you were here. I have, on this planet, I have a belief in that, knowing, you know, what your life has consisted of. But exactly what you're saying, it has to start within. So go, take 10 minutes, please, you know, soothe, meditate, breathe, and digest and get your energy ready for the 10 o'clock. Take care of yourself. All got to start within. I know you know that. I love you.
Have I love
a beautiful
you too.
Day.
Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for doing this. Y'all, come visit thesanctuarychallenge.com when you get off of here. Don't skip a beat, because the longer you wait, the less chance you're probably going to come check it out. Yeah. Come sign up for free. Get your crew involved. Get your community involved. JR, thank you, my love, for doing this. If you have the wherewithal and the technical capacity to save it so that we can repost it, that would be amazing.
It's literally what I'm thinking. I was like, focus, say goodbye.
All you got to do is push the X and then click Save to IGTV.
Put on my glasses, Rye.
I love you.
I love you. Have a wonderful day. Give my love to the fam. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Much love to you all. Stay well, stay safe, stay healthy. How to sign up. Okay. How to sign up, Temp Football 17. Go to the Sanctuary challenge.com. I was supposed to pin that comment, wasn't I? Ryan, if you're still on, will you post it again? And I will try to pin it. But guys, go to thesanctuarychallenge.com. It's on Instagram as well, and I'm sure the link will be in their bio. And you sign up there. Super easy. Love you too. You'll stay with us. I wish I could spend the whole day with you guys, truly, and just bring each and every one of you on the live with me. Hope you and Ian go live again. I miss you too. Yes, Sorochka. I would love to as well. Bobo and I. We have to try to figure that out. Yes, there it is. Thesanctuarychallenge.com. Hey, just put it up. Tout Italien moi. Speak French. Je ne parle pas français. Un petit peu. Je ne comprends pas. That's it. French. Horrible. My French teacher, like, literally, they wanted to kill me and kick me out of school. Kick me out of class. Hope you have a nice day as well. Waiting for, what was your waiting for? Dramatic flair. Hello from Czech. All right, let's do this. I just picked Stuck Vibelinski. I hope that I'm gonna bring somebody on that I just saw, and
Oh my god.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I'm Italian.
You're in Italy?
Sì, yes.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Do you what is your what's your name?
Margherita.
Margherita? Buongiorno, Margherita. Sì.
Buongiorno.
Do you meditate? Do you ever practice? Do you sort of do things that, you know, what Ryan is saying, the Sanctuary Challenge?
Oh my god.
This is going to be a tricky conversation, isn't it? Yeah, I realize that. I thought certain words might jump out. Margherita.
Yes. Perfect.
Are you well? Are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
See? All right. What time is it in Italy?
Aspetta. Cioè, allora, you speak Italian?
No.
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 Okay. Aspetta.
It's late. It's nighttime.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Nighttime.
Hey. Hi.
Hi.
Aspetta. My sister. Cosa? Cosa? I'm sorry, chiudi.
The whole family.
Allora, I'm sorry, ma...
No, don't be sorry. It's nighttime. Noche? No, nighttime?
Allora, non so dirlo. Cioè, sono in ansia, allora mi scuso per le fanpage qui che mi stanno ascoltando.
Everybody else understood that in Italy. I didn't. I wish that I did. But Lucio, Timor? Sì? Timor?
Aspetta, uso il Google Translate che è meglio.
I love Toronto. It's my friend. I love you too, Toronto. I'm gonna
Possiamo fare uno screen.
See. She's gonna show me on the screen. I think I understood that.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but
don't be sorry. No, don't be sorry at all. I'm how do you say come dice no, I don't know Italian. I don't even know why I'm trying to pretend I know Italian. I'm gonna say Jamor. Jamore. It's horrible.
Don't worry. Thank you.
See?
Bye.
Bye, Margherita. Be well. Bye. I should look at who I'm choosing. I don't know how to speak Italian. All right, guys. Please. Guys, go to the sanctuarychallenge.com. I was seeing if there was more on here about sort of what we all were talking about. Nice to see you too, Musica. Justin, why am I doing this? Guys, everybody stay well, stay safe, stay healthy. Sanctuary.com, sanctuarychallenge.com. Talk to you guys later. Ciao, ciao.